Now, as we all know, one of the main functions of the internet is to facilitate masturbation, or worse. The Prime Minister has made it his mission to protect children from the so-called adult material that's there, and has encouraged the broadband companies and search engines to install automatic filters. But Newsnight has found that rather than stopping teenagers clicking through to pornography, some of the filters are preventing access to sex education, rape advice and sexual health sites. Privately, internet companies say they still have serious concerns about the whole idea. Jim Reed reports.
Here's a shock. Online porn is big business. 9% of all internet traffic goes to adult sites. By one measure, 5 of the top 20 websites in the UK are now porn sites, and politicians are worried about it.
In the darkest corners of the internet, there are things going on that are a direct danger to our children and that must be stamped out.
The evidence suggested 82% of British people are really worried about how easy it is to access porn, and it's almost sort of unique that people feel so helpless about this.
Porn is the most frequent search term on Google. We cannot allow an industry which makes millions out of porn month on month to dictate the pace of change.
We've come a long way from the old familiar face of the industry, Soho in London. After pressure from newspapers and child safety campaigners, the government had little choice but to act. The big internet firms were told to block porn by default. To watch any restricted content, a customer will have to go and change his or her broadband settings. Basic parental controls have of course been around for years, but in general you have to go to the trouble of installing software on your computer itself, which then blocks certain websites. These new network level filters are much more sophisticated than that. Here BT is letting me log on and block sites not from my laptop but from the actual internet connection itself. So any gadget from games consoles to phones should be covered by the filter in the same way. TalkTalk was the first big company to do this. The others have now caught up, with Sky and BT launching their porn filters in the last few weeks.
Lots of parents find it very difficult to talk about sex with their children anyway, and I wish it weren't so. I wish we could help solve that problem, and I hope perhaps partly through these initiatives that are being taken now, some of those sorts of conversations will take place. We still have a responsibility to do what we can at a technical level, not perfect, not enough, but we still have a responsibility to try to help with technical solutions wherever we can.
So as you can see here, this is your site. This is now not running on the TalkTalk network. This is on. See here. But critics say internet filters are a blunt instrument. Justin Hancock runs one of the most popular sex education sites on the net, aimed at under 18s. Nothing pornographic on here. But on the TalkTalk system that we're looking at here, click on that and you'll see it's blocked straight away. But when you switch to the TalkTalk network, his site is suddenly unavailable. So it's coming up as effectively a porn site. Broadband companies are going to say in this instance, look, this was probably just an oversight. If you contact them, they'll get this block removed and everything will be fine again.
Yeah, well, sure, they might fix my site in the short term, but what about all the other sites that are out there for young people? Not just sex education websites, but support forums for young people around sex and relationships, young people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual or trans. It's kind of an ongoing problem. Who are TalkTalk to say what is allowed and what isn't? When we looked, TalkTalk's porn filter also blocked other sex education sites and a rape crisis centre, and BT banned access to a number of sexual health and domestic violence charities. In its advertising, BT boasts its new filter gives peace of mind anywhere in the home. TalkTalk says it protects your whole home online. When it comes to a list of major sites hosting pornographic material, all the filters did perform reasonably well. BT and Sky let through one of 68 popular adult sites. TalkTalk let through 5, including sites like Self Desire and Me and My Asian.
But scratch beneath the surface and plenty of explicit material is still easily available. The internet chat board Reddit hosts a large number of adult pages. This is one of the tamest images available. None of these were blocked by any of the filters. In public, the internet industry might support this idea. In private, though, it's another matter. One major broadband company told us it has deep reservations about the entire exercise, which it says is just pandering to the Daily Mail. The executive there said this is just the result of lobbying from Christian groups and the companies which sell filter technology. So how do these filtering systems work? Not one of the 4 large internet service providers would talk on camera, so we came to the offices of one of their smaller competitors. The boss here is a father of 5, and he's far from convinced porn filters are the answer. How do these systems, these filtering, blocking systems, how do they know what to block and what to let through? How does it work?
This is the challenge, really. You can't have a room full of people trying to find dodgy websites. You have to start with some automation, looking for keywords, for example. It's an arms race you're starting. The porn industry, whether we like it or not, is a legitimate commercial industry, and they will fight back. They will find ways to move their websites around, to bypass the blocks, to make them encrypted. And this will allow people to get to them whether they're kids or not.
The official line from all the big broadband companies is there is no single solution, and any filtering system is not going to work perfectly to begin with. There are systems in place, they say, to correct any mistakes. But even one of the government's own advisors on internet safety thinks all this is making it harder, not easier, for parents.
I think there's a huge risk at the moment, and I think it comes out of a desire to do the right thing. But there's a very big risk that we are focusing so heavily on filters and all of the ISPs having them and public Wi-Fi having them, that the message that's getting through to parents is that those filters will do the job. And of course the truth is that no filter is ever going to be perfect. And even if they were perfect, there'd still be a job for parents to do. So it's desperately unhelpful.
The government has told Newsnight it has now asked its advisors to check that sex advice sites are not being censored by mistake. But any quick fix isn't going to answer the bigger question. It might be possible to control a red light district, but can the authorities ever hope to control something the size of the internet in the first place?